upsetting. Some people call it hilarious, but that dynamic there, right? And I was really looking even more deeply, thinking about this just now, and realizing that I think one of the reasons that what we saw there, this lack of ability for those men to listen to each other, right, and how much there was just so little communicating going on because of this lack of listening going on, right, and just this righteousness in our own perspective, right, we saw this in these two men, and how frustrating that was and how ineffective that was, right, and just thinking though that feels like a real sign of the times for a lot of us, right? How many of us in even our personal relationships are experiencing this dynamic where there's frustration because we're realizing we're not really doing a lot of listening to each other. And part of that includes that we're not doing a lot of listening to ourselves, even on maybe a more deep, soulful, heartful, spiritual level, right? And maybe more of that could help us listen more to others. But I find this fascinating, and it seems important and really something that we can all look at within our own lives and our own approaches with people, right? And if we saw that dynamic in those presidential debates and felt ourselves so triggered, right? Maybe it's partly because we have even seen ourselves doing that, where we're just not listening. And this came up for me with my 16-year-old son the other day. He was bringing this up in our dynamic, how sometimes I wasn't listening to him and he wasn't listening to me, and things like interrupting, right? And taking it back to traditions that they would do in Native times, where people would sit in a circle and do something like pass a talking stick, so that we remembered that when someone else is talking, it's about just listening to them, right? Until they're done, not interrupting, not trying to talk over them, right? And really just adding that into our more effective relationships and practices with each other. So I'm thinking about the deeper aspects of what we saw there, how that may be just a reflection of where a lot of us are at collectively and personally, and how much can we develop our skills of listening, right? And learn from what we saw last night that it doesn't work to not listen and to interrupt, and it really can be even heartbreaking and frustrating and not the energy we want to be or bring to the planet, right? Especially now. So what if we can use all this to help us transform personally, collectively, learn to do things differently, see where we've gotten into some habits and patterns in these busy modern times, distractions, right? And divide. So what can we do to cultivate those listening skills more with ourselves and more with others in a way that can help right now, right? So thanks for listening. Just wanted to share while that came to my mind and awareness.